Welcome to Tracking the Cats. I'm Bob Saban along with my co-host Steve White. And Tracking the Cats is a bi-weekly podcast that does everything catamounts. And today we've got a special guest with us. But first, we are brought to you by Stanberry Insurance. They now have 4 offices. They're based in Silva, plus Highlands, Waynesville, and next door in the nice little town of Clyde. For all your insurance needs, that's Stanberry Insurance. Today, we are glad to have on the show. This is a first-time guest. He is known in 2 ways around Cullowhee. The first way is former baseball coach, very successful baseball coach for a few years at Western Carolina. We were thrilled to have him and hated to lose him. But now he's got a son who's making it big in the majors, Todd Raleigh. And they're up against the Detroit Tigers, leading 2-1, and we've got the 4th game coming up at 3:00 this afternoon. Todd, tell us a little bit about who you are and where you are with things.
Well, I'm a former player and a coach at Western. I got to Western in the fall of '87, played for Coach Leggett, and then, had some success as a player there, winning some championships, and went on to sign with the Red Sox, a free agent contract. And briefly after that, got back into coaching with Keith LeClaire, a former teammate of mine, and assistant coach under Coach Leggett. And, got into coaching and went to James Madison, went to East Carolina, came back to Western Carolina to be a head coach from 2000, 2007. Then I went to the University of Tennessee. And, after that, kind of been just kind of an entrepreneur and doing some things, mostly tracking my kids these days. Not just Cal, I have 4. So I stay busy, stay on the road a lot.
That's great. I came over to Knoxville to see us play when you were there. Steve.
Yeah, I'm here. I'll give you a little more background.
Okay.
Todd didn't go into a whole lot of detail there about his career here. He was a 3-time All-Southern Conference catcher here at Western Carolina. Can you believe that? A Raleigh guy is a catcher with that name? It's unbelievable. Started 1988, 89, 90, 91 seasons for the Catamounts. Twice led the Southern Conference in RBIs in 91 and 92. Make that 90 and 91. Led the Southern Conference in triples one year. Now, you'd think with a guy that his size that'd be quite a feat. And so forth. 1990. Set WCU record for RBIs in 1991. 78, which stayed up there. I think it's still ranked 3rd all time for Western Carolina. Part of 2 Southern Conference championship teams as a player. As he said earlier, signed with the Boston Red Sox. Twice Southern Conference Coach of the Year in 2002, 2007. North Carolina Baseball Coaches Association Coach of the Year in 2003. 257 coaching victories at Western, which is at the time when he left was second to Jack Leggett. 2003 regular season and Southern Conference tournament champions. We were regional runner-up down in Wilson when NC State hosted it in 2003, and the same thing again in 2007 in Chapel Hill. And 14 players drafted by the Major League Baseball. 3 of those guys became Major League Baseball players. So that's a little bit about his background and so forth. So the facts. Yes.
So apparently you came to Cullowhee from the northern reaches of Vermont, not too far from another school called the Catamounts, University of Vermont. Fortunately for us, they don't have a football team, so we're the only Catamount football team. Tell me, how did you end up in Cullowhee from that
long
trip?
Story short, I was one of 7 children, and my oldest brother, John, was a baseball player in the state of Vermont, and Coach Leggett was the head coach at University of Vermont at that time. And he kind of recruited my brother, and we kind of got to know him as a family. My brother ended up going to Central Florida. Unfortunately, got really, really sick his freshman year of college and spent some time in the hospital. And Coach Leggett would still go see him in the hospital, even though he didn't go to his school. And, my brother lost the battle of cancer about a year after that. But So we had that connection with Coach Leggett. And then when I became that age, I was in eighth grade at that time, but, I became a senior. I wanted to go play South. That's all I knew. I didn't have any offers or anything. So I literally took out a typewriter and typed Coach Leggett. No internet back then, no cell phone. So started it, and he said, "Yeah, come on down. I'll give you 6 weeks to make the team." So I said, "Heck with it. I'll do it." And that's what I did. And best decision ever made.
I'll tell you another thing,
Very
Todd.
cool.
You talk about being that close to the Canadian border. Hockey is very, very big in that part of the country, and I know you and Matt both were hockey players, high school hockey players. Tell us a little bit about playing hockey in Swanton, Vermont.
Well, we did grow up on the border. Literally 3 miles from our house was the border, and our family farm
Wow.
that it was in my mom's side, my grandfather's farm, literally bordered Canada. So the power lines ran through it. To the right was Canada, to the left was the farm, the dairy farm. So we were close in that. So yeah, so really the first I played of any sport was hockey, organized probably age 5, I guess, and started playing hockey. And as I got older, I transferred into basketball for we had a lot of boys playing, so I ended up. Matt continued to play. I went the basketball route, but he continued to play high school hockey as my brother David did as well, and me and John played basketball. But it was great, except when we played the Canadian team, so we could literally go 5 miles over the border, and they would just smoke us every single time. We had no chance. And then conversely, when we played them in baseball, they had no chance. So it's weird that 5 miles or even 10 miles could separate the world of how much better they were. Obviously, that's their focus, and baseball was ours. But I don't know. Hockey's pretty big where I grew up, obviously, and I was less than an hour to Montreal. So kind of was an Expo fan growing up, too, a little bit.
Well, Todd, your younger brother
Nice,
Matt
nice.
followed you to Western Carolina a year after you got here, and he put up some phenomenal numbers. 3-time All Southern Conference Player of the Year in 1992 when we went to the regional finals there at Florida State. He set WCU and Southern Conference records for hits, home runs, total bases, RBIs, just lots of records for your younger brother there. And on the Southern Conference's 100th anniversary baseball team. Was there ever any sibling rivalry there? I don't know if I want to ask that question or not.
Well, yeah, it's always been there. Yeah, we were, our whole family's very competitive, and me and Matt certainly were. So we had, whether it was, I can't even, you name it, even playing tennis or wiffle ball or whatever it was going to be an all-out brawl mostly. When we became teammates here, obviously we were glad to be on the same team. So there's no really rivalry here. But growing up, they still say, the greatest Little League game played in our town. They wouldn't let us play on the same team, even though that's the Little League rule. They said no. So my oldest brother, John, who I was talking about before, was the umpire. And we played a Little League game, and we both struck out 17. We both hit a home run off each other, ended 1-1 because of darkness, because we didn't have lights. Yeah, it's a true story. It was in the paper. And so we wanted, as soon as we got home, we're like, just go finish in the backyard. We had a hockey net that we set up, and that would be the strike zone. And we throw to each other from, a set distance. And if you hit it over the fence, is a home run. So I'm pretty sure I came out on top, but he remembers it. He remembers it differently that night. But so we had some rivalries, of course. Yes.
There was no giant dog in the neighbor's house on the other side of the fence, was there?
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. Yeah, we lost a few balls. We did have an elderly lady that would confiscate our balls and not give them back to us. But it was no dog, thank goodness, because we did try to sneak over. But yeah, she wouldn't give them back to
us. Well, the color Western Carolina, particularly back in the late 1900s, early 2000s, Jack Leggett, Rodney Hennon, Keith LeClaire, what is it like to think back on such legendary, all y'all are Hall of Fame folks. What's it like having that kind of legacy here at Western?
I mean, it's great. I mean, first and foremost, I played with Keith and Rodney, and I played, for Coach Leggett, and I coached with a little bit actually with Rodney and Keith as well at East Carolina and here. So they're all tremendous people. I think that's the common denominator. tremendous friends. And just to be part of that baseball family that we have at Western is very special. It's always been special to me. I feel like I was just another piece in it. Obviously, Coach Leggett set the foundation. Keith certainly took that and ran with it, and as did Rodney. And it's great to know that you're in that kind of club. And I've always had, the most respect for those guys along the way. And being a Western guy, it means more, always has. You coach somewhere, it's great. But when you play somewhere and you coach somewhere, it just means a little bit more, always has. Western was the best times I've ever had as a player and as a coach. So many memories there. It's hard to even start thinking about all the ones I had as a player, as assistant, and as the head coach.
Well, talk about these days in the late 80s, Todd. And by the way, I talked to Coach Leggett this morning, and he said to tell Savvy hi
Yeah,
for me. Now, Jack Leggett had a nickname for everybody.
they
And
did.
believe me,
They
and
did. Everybody.
yeah,
Everybody.
and Todd was savvy, 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 and that's because of his. I think he's baseball intelligence, his savviness about the game. But talk about those days when Western Carolina became the dominant team in the Southern Conference baseball world, and then returning in 2000 to take over the program. Lots of great memories and just moments for you as both as a player and a coach. But talk about the program at that time when you came in and of course was all part of that just dominating situation.
Yeah, when I came here as a freshman, they were rolling. They were rolling downhill fast. They had won 3 consecutive Southern Conference championships in baseball, and of course, we won the next 2 years as well. And we were top of the food chain. That's all there was to it. I mean, I believe in. I'm sure Whitey knows more than all of us, but App State was on quite a run before Coach Leggett got to Cullowhee and was certainly the dominant team. I can't tell you how many championships, but they're winning more often than not, and they kind of flipped that around and turned a corner. And we played a great schedule every year. Coach Leggett was literally a one-man coaching staff, which is just seems impossible to me. Trying to coach the pitchers, trying to coach the hitters, the base runners, driving the bus. So there was a lot. It seemed like the Wild West a little bit back then, but it seemed like baseball was really pure. It was great. And like I said, some of the best times of my life, great experiences, and going to regionals and just playing that kind of schedule. Played a great schedule here at Western all the time, and that always paid dividends for us down the road.
Bob, before you ask your next question there, I want to tell you, talking about
Sure.
Coach being a one-man coaching staff. Now, he tells me that Todd actually was the pitching coach, that he worked those pitchers, made the calls, ran the ball game for him as far as the pitchers were concerned. And very similar to, I think, what's going on in Seattle right now with Cal, from what I understand, what I read, and what I hear, and everything. That he sort of runs the pitching staff there at Seattle. But Bob, back to you now.
Yeah. So you mentioned things changing, and we think about the NCAA across the board and all the changes that are happening with the court cases and portals and paying players. Tell me your thoughts on what's going on with college sports, but baseball in particular, because it has had a special effect on baseball with the number of people on scholarship.
Yeah, I mean, it's deep, right, Bob? I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. I think maybe when it started, especially with the scholarship, baseball has always been the least funded sport in the NCAA, according to your roster limits. 11.7 for the last 30 years, I think, was the scholarship limit. And, when you have 35 guys, even before that, it was 40. And you're signing kids. Even though I was at Tennessee, we're signing kids that are going to go in the first round. We're giving them 40% out of state, and then he's waiting for $1 million, from the pro team. Hard to talk a kid out of that. And I know the SEC voted for unlimited scholarships every year I was there. I know all the power conferences did, which was never going to pass because the presidents, each Division I school had a vote, and some schools just can't do that. A lot of them can't. So I like the intent there, but obviously where we're gone now, it's out of control. I don't know if it's sustainable. Western, take a school like Western. Coach Beck gets a player in, does really good. somebody's just going to recruit them and take them. Same in football. And, the best predictor of success is previous success. I don't care how good of a high school player you are. If you had success at Division I level, they're going to go ahead and recruit that. So Western can recruit them, develop them, weight room, on the field, everything, and just lose them. I don't love it at all. I think there's got to do something with the portal. It just can't be that open market all the time. So I do see some changes coming down. Again, the scholarship limit, I get it, but how's a school like Western? They're never going to have full scholarships, 30 or whatever they have. It's just not going to happen. So you'd like to think there's a little more equity. But here's the irony that happened last year, first time, I think, is everybody thought when we opened this up and gave kids money, not only full rides, but cars and $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, that it would shift. It didn't really shift. What they found out, if you look at all the upsets last year, Texas getting knocked off at home, Vanderbilt getting knocked at home. A lot of big schools got knocked off last year by mid-majors. But what they found out, because of all the new rules, the JUCO rule, you can play now 5, 6, and I know there's court cases right now. They say you want to play Division II for 4, JUCO for 2. You should be able to play Division I for 4. She's looking at 10 years now.
Oh my God.
Whether that passes or not, I don't know, but I do know there's an active court case with that. But the kids were older. That's what happened last year in the regional. So now when you're taking these kids, because of the COVID, because of all the red shirts, because of the new rule, you're finding these schools coming in and all of a sudden everybody's 23, 24. And the schools that had all the money and all the big recruits, really when you get 23, 24, it kind of meshes more together. It's not a gap in the talent level and learn how to play baseball. So it kind of evened it out a little bit. I don't think anybody saw that coming. And that has nothing to do with the portal or anything like that, but kind of where the state of college baseball is. I think it's a great game. I think the college game's a great game. It's a little different in the program, but that's good. You don't want them to be the same. And, I think it's great. I just don't know how the modern day coaches can just, tough when you can build a roster and do a great job and then somebody just comes in and takes it away. It doesn't seem right to me. I know kids should have choices on where they go, but it's got to be something like maybe a one-time transfer or, one time a year. I don't have all those answers, but to me, it doesn't seem sustainable.
And my pet peeve is when it comes to the playoffs, we saw how the mid-majors performed in the playoffs last year. And yet, Southern Conference from here on out, it's only going to get one. Doesn't matter how good that second place team is or that they were the regular season champ, but they couldn't pull through the tournament. The NCAA is giving, 6, 8 spots to an SEC team, 6, 8 to Big Ten, Pac-12, whatever it is now. That's frustrating to me.
It is. The RPI and what comes with it is tough. And here's the inner lining to that. When you may not be able to go through your regionals like they thought they would, but by having the deeper rosters, it really helps you midweek. And when you're helped midweek, you're going to have better records. It's going to help your RPI. I see that happening maybe more so than just that big dominant team. I think my last year at Western, I believe we're the last at-large team in Southern Conference baseball in 07. We did not win the tournament, but, we were ranked in the top 20 and got in at-large. And I don't think they've had one since. Whitey would know.
You're right. One time we had a couple of years there we had as many as 3.
We had 3, I think, twice.
2, 2 for a long time.
Yeah. I had once, I believe we had 3 when I was coaching with Keith LeClaire there as assistant. And my last year there, I think we also had 3 different teams. So we had Georgia Southern, College Charleston was really good. Elon was really good. And Citadel was still on top of their game. And you had App State, who really wasn't that good then, but still was good. But you're right, Bob. It seems like I would like to see more teams get in, at least have a chance. It doesn't seem like that's happening in any conferences anymore. They start, right. They start pleading in the beginning of April. Oh, we should have 12, 13 teams from the SEC, whatever. I don't know. When you look at some of the teams that get in, they didn't really do very well. A lot of them took 0-2. That were, teams that I probably didn't think should have got in. But we know who drives the bus, and I'm with you on that. I think it's better for college baseball to have more regional across the country instead of centered in, one particular geographic location. I think it's good for the game. I think it could grow the game.
Well, Coach, you're out of coaching on the collegiate level now and a businessman. You're not really out of coaching, though, as you've had two sons that have received and will continue to receive your tutelage, your advice, your guidance. Unless viewers are living under a rock, they know about your oldest son, Cal, who should be American League's most valuable player in a few weeks after the World Series will be announced. He's a Gold Glove catcher, home run derby champ, first catcher to ever hit 60 home runs in a season, and recognized leader of the Seattle Mariners. Talk about your role in his development.
Well, I mean, yeah, I am his coach still. I think it goes way back to him cutting his teeth here in Callaway as being the bat boy and asking me why am I making this lineup? Why wasn't this guy here and there? So he's always been very inquisitive and intuitive at the same time. But yeah, we've always had a great relationship. I know sometimes when you're coaching your kid, things can get sideways, but we've never had that here. And just started teaching them really young, and we built a bond. Not just the coaching bond, but the father bond. And, every step of the way I've been there, and that was a big reason why I didn't get back into coaching. I wanted to be with my family more. I think it was a great decision I made. I had opportunities to get in the college game and the pro game, but decided to take a different route. And, I was able to see Cal play at Florida State and not miss hardly any games. And, a lot of bumps in the road. I mean, people see the polished person and player that he is right now. But, baseball's a hard game. There's a lot of grind for him along the way. I feel like I've been there for him in the good and the bad. Pick him up when he needs it. Kick him in the butt sometimes too. Still have to do that on occasion. But, he's getting to be a man now. And so I still his coach. I mean, still talk about his swing. We'll still talk about situations. And now for us, it's more about, a lot of the leadership things and how to be a leader and how to lead by example and how, to help your clubhouse and just stuff like that. And he has other people he talks to too. He bends the ear, guys like Derek Jeter and stuff like that. So guys who've been there. So when you get to that level, you have a lot of access. So I continue here just to be support for him. And obviously I T, his little brother, I'm actively coaching right now. And that's full time too. So I'm never out of it. I promise you. I am coaching. There's a lot of BP thrown every day, a lot of fungos hitting, a lot of coaching every week of the year.
Well, speaking of tea, everybody that knows me, and I live in Atlanta, all my buds know I am a huge Western Carolina fan. So it was a real charge for me to be watching the home run derby and tell my buds, hey, I know these guys, and they're from Western. And so, but Todd Jr. is another catcher coming up. He was catching for you at the home run derby when you were pitching to Cal. Tell us a little bit more about him.
T is 15 now. He's 6'3", taller than Cal is already. He's a switch hitting catcher. Plays in Atlanta on a travel team. Goes to Raven Gap for high school, which is also in Georgia. Just like Cal, played in Atlanta every weekend, made that 3 hour up, 3 hour back, I think 7,200 times, I think. It is what it is and still doing it. And T's got a chance. I mean, he's growing up around it just like Cal. We have our own facility here at our house, so we get a lot of work in that way. He's also Cal had the opportunity to grow on the bus. If we're playing Georgia Tech, Cal would be on the bus. Even when he was 7 or 8 or 9, or if we're playing somewhere, or every day Cal, the Cullowhee Valley School would drop him off at the baseball field for us. So he'd get on the bus. There's only 2 5-irons, well, probably 4 drivers for Whitey, but 2 5.
I resemble that remark.
The Valley is really close, but the bus driver would take him, pull all the way in to the baseball field at Western, and Cal would get out. He has little practice gear already stacked in the dugout, and he would change and go at it. T's grown up in the big world, the big league clubhouse. Often he'll go to a park early with Cal, hit with them in the cages underneath. Sometimes get on the field, work out with them. Whether it be in Atlanta, done that a couple of times. Whether it be in Detroit, wherever. So they both had advantages for sure. Now T certainly has He has a lot of tools. He's very, very developed right now defensively. He's a big body kid. He can hit with power. But, it comes down to work ethic and putting that time in. And I think he'll do it. So I don't want to put any pressure on him. But he is getting a lot of looks across the country right now for a 15-year-old. So he's not unknown. And, of course, the Derby put his popularity through the roof. It's just crazy how many people, like we were in Seattle this weekend, and every time I turned around, he was signing another autograph, taking pictures. And I'm like, come on now, let's stop this. But he's pretty popular right now, but certainly has the advantages, not just to lean on me, but lean on his brother. And Cal, they're very close. The age difference, Cal's, I think he's 28, he's 15. So big gap there, but they're tight. They're tight like they're only 1 year apart. So T will call upon Cal when he has questions about baseball. And of course, Cal, T has the most catching gear of anybody in the world right now. He has probably about the same size. He literally has 30 sets of gear and all got his name on. And the umpires in East Cobb are always like, what is going on? Yesterday you had this on, you got your name on it. How much are you spending on it? And they don't know, that his brother's Cal. Cal's gear is customized. So and T tells him like, oh, I get it now. So T's had some advantages.
Hopefully, Coach Beck's building a good relationship because love to see him in purple.
Yeah, he would fit good in that part for sure. Yeah, Coach Beck knows him. Don't worry. They know each other pretty good. Actually, T's good friends with Easton, Coach Beck's oldest son. So they're and T goes down the field. Of course, my nephew Brody is playing for Western County right now. Matt's son. So yeah, so he's down there quite a bit.
Before we get in trouble here and so forth, talking about the athletic ability of T and Cal and so forth, don't give Todd all the credit. Now, their mother, Stephanie, was a great athlete at Old Silver Webster High School. His two sisters, Emma and Carly, were great high school, award-winning players and now played on the collegiate level. So it's not all Todd. We got to give Stephanie some credit for that athletic ability.
Right, no doubt. I mean, it takes. I don't know where the kids get their hype from. Like I tell everybody, it must have been the mailman. But at least it's the same mailman. I don't know, but my girls, they have gone on and played, and one's still playing. And Emma went to Bradley and played. Set a Division I record for most digs in one college game in Division I. So my girls are too. It's just not as there's really no professional volleyball, so you don't hear much about it. But as equally proud of them as the boys for sure.
And Bob, I want to tell everybody about this too. Now, I know Sports Illustrated's only prints once a month now. They do have digital issues, but there was a heck of a story came out last month called Glute Force, and this is all about the Cal Raleigh impact in Seattle, what he means to that town, what he means to that team, and goes into the personal part, the detail, not just the home runs, but everything about him and why he is special. And if you get a chance, I don't know where you can get a copy because I don't think they're on the newsstand anymore, but you can go online and find it somewhere. But a great article there by Sports Illustrated. And that's an honor in itself to be recognized by Sports Illustrated.
Yeah. Well, Coach, it's been great having you on here today. We really appreciate your time. Great stories, great learning about the family. And, let's continue the Catamount tradition with Raleighs and
I love
baseball.
it. Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
All right, that about wraps it for this edition of Tracking the Cats, brought to you by Stanberry Insurance, Silva, Waynesville, Clyde, and Highlands. And we'll see you all again in 2 weeks.